Hi, my name is Jenica Heim, and I'm the Education USA advisor in Canada. Education USA is a great organization funded by the US government. We provide free advising services to students all over the world. I specifically work with Canadian students on understanding the US admissions process. You can contact me at ottawa@educationusa.info. You can check out my website at educationusacanada.ca. And when you hang out all the way till the end, that information will also be on the final slide. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please put them in the chat, and you can also contact me after the event. But without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to the expert. So today we have Colin A. Wiggins. He is with the John Jay College of Criminal Justice, and today he's going to be walking you through what dual degree programs are and getting a deeper understanding. So thank you so much, Colin, for being here, and I'm going to pass it away to you.
All right, thank you so much to Education USA Canada and to everybody joining us on this webinar. Today we're going to talk about dual degree programs in the United States, specifically understanding what these accelerated bachelor's, master's, and professional programs are, because they are kind of unique to the US higher education system. My name is Colin A. Wiggins. I'm the International Admissions Specialist here at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, part of the City University of New York. I've been with John Jay College for a little over a year, but I've been in international student affairs, admissions, immigration for the past decade. So I have seen a lot, I have experienced a lot, and if you have any questions, please reach out. I have probably answered it in my career. So without further ado, let's talk about these dual degree programs. What are dual degree programs? Dual degree programs in the United States are programs based on a formal agreement within one college or university or between separate colleges or universities. The type of degrees that you can get vary. There's hundreds of higher education institutions in America, and each institution can have their own different type of dual degrees. So they can be anything from an accelerated teacher education program that takes 5 years to a combined bachelor's degree that seamlessly transitions into a PhD, law, engineering, medical degree, or you can even consider getting a double major, which is getting maybe 2 bachelor's degrees, a double degree. What's the time frame for a dual degree? We're talking about getting more than 1 degree. So what's the time frame? Typically, students spend about 3 to 4 years in each degree program. After they complete the requirements for both programs, which usually takes between 4 to 6 years, the student is awarded 2 degrees. Sometimes students will receive a bachelor's degree while they're still working concurrently on a professional degree. So where do you do this? Where do you take these classes? Dual degree programs can begin and end at one university, meaning you stay at the same university from your first year all the way to the end of your professional degree, or you may start at one university and finish at a separate institution. Think about that like starting at a university and then ending at a medical school or a law school. And finally, how do I apply? How do I get these dual degree programs? And like I just said, there are a lot of dual degree programs at universities in the US, and they all have their own entrance requirements, but a little bit later, I'll give you some rules of thumb and some general background to applying to dual degree programs. But first, let's just quickly go over the type of degrees that we have in the United States. The first degree in the United States, the first degree of higher education, is an associate degree. An associate degree can be completed at a comprehensive or community college. They are 2-year degrees that are equivalent to 60 credits. And these associate degrees can often transfer to bachelor's degrees, which are 4-year degrees, which are equivalent to 120 to 138 credits, depending on the academic program. Undergraduate programs, bachelor's degrees in engineering, The computer sciences can take upwards of 128 to 130 credits, where more of your typical liberal arts programs will be about 120 to 125 credits. That's 4 years worth of work. If students who start at a community college or comprehensive school do complete 60 credits and then transfer to a bachelor degree program, they only have to obtain an additional 60 to 68 credits to get their bachelor's degree. An associate degree is a great way to start your education in the United States. And usually the transfer between a community college and a university is very seamless. You can actually kind of consider that a dual degree program. After a bachelor's degree, we have a master's degree, or it's one of the first professional degrees that you can get in the United States. They are 2-year post-baccalaureate professional degrees, which are equivalent to about 30 to 36 credits. Most master's degrees are what we call terminal degrees, meaning it's the highest degree that you can attain in your field, save for doctorate degrees. These are 3 or 4-year professional education degrees, and you can complete them after getting a bachelor's or a master's degree. A doctorate degree is what we call a PhD, a medical doctor, MD, a doctor of osteopathic medicine, an optometrist, a lawyer, EdD, a doctor of education. These are all the terminal degrees in those fields, and there's a wide variety of doctorate degrees available in the United States. Moving on. The purpose of these dual degrees in America is to get 2 degrees in a shorter amount of time. If you followed a regular path of study in the United States, you would spend 4 years at an undergraduate bachelor's degree program, followed by another 2 years in a master's degree program, so that's 6 years. Or if you go from a bachelor's degree to a PhD or law school program, that's an additional 3 to 4 years. So that's 6 to 7, even 8 years, 4 years plus 4 years for medical school. And if you go from a bachelor's to a master's to a PhD program, for example, that's 10 years. That is an entire decade spent in higher education, which is fantastic, and people do it. But if you really think about it, that's a long time. And a lot of universities have these dual degree programs to get qualified, competent, and successful students prepared without wasting more time and money and get them out into the world. Dual degree programs condense the number of seat hours and coursework you need to take to get your degree. Talking about 60 credits, 120 credits, 30 credits, master's degree. Those are credits, that's seat hours, that is the length of time of the education. So while you're doing these dual degrees, you take classes that meet the requirement for both programs. So 5 years can get you, typically will get you a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. When you're in your upper level of study in university, so while you're in year 3 or 4, if you're in these special dual degree programs, you would actually start taking the first year of graduate level coursework, because graduate or a master's degree is typically 2 years. So your last 2 years of undergrad and your first year of graduate school kind of overlap. And that's how you get the degree in 5 years instead of 6. If you're getting a master's degree and then going to law school to get a JD or a Juris Doctorate, that would be 2 years for a master's plus 3 years of law school. These dual degree programs for a master's into law school are only 4 years, because while you're taking your graduate the courses in your master's program, you're also taking classes at law school, and courses at law school transfer over to your graduate program, and courses in your graduate program transfer into law school. So again, that's how you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. There are some programs in the US, and you might see this advertised, 7 years for a bachelor's to a medical doctor or doctor of osteopathic medicine. degree instead of 8 years. Typically, you would do 4 years undergraduate in a pre-medicine program, and then you would do 4 years of medical school. These combined bachelor's to MD or DO programs cut out some of that time, and you actually become a medical doctor or doctor of osteopathic medicine in 7 years. Some colleges also have similar programs in dentistry, optometry, pharmacy. They run the gamut, but a lot of them you will see will be a medical doctor and doctor of osteopathic medicine. And in these programs, specifically the master's to JD, the MD to DO, bachelor's programs, you get the degree at different points. So if you're doing a 7-year medical program, your first year of medical school is when you'll get your actual undergraduate degree. And then once you complete medical school satisfactorily, you'll get your actual medical degree. Moving on. Okay, well, where do you complete your degree? Because I'm talking a lot about medical school and initial university. So most bachelor's to master's programs, meaning you are doing maybe a 5-year undergraduate to graduate program, they typically take place at the same university. The university that has an undergraduate program may have the same program at the graduate level, or they might have a very similar program at the graduate level, because graduate education, again, is a professional education. So instead of being more generalized, like a bachelor's degree, you will focus on a specific area. In the rare case, an undergraduate program might have an agreement to do graduate work at another institution. The best example I can give you for this is in New York State. A lot of the public universities that have undergraduate degrees in journalism may have a accelerated degree program with graduate schools in journalism, either in New York City or Syracuse University has a great graduate school in journalism, and they might do 5-year programs because they have a special agreement with those specific institutions. Students in bachelor to MD, DO, dentistry, optometry programs, these 7-year medical programs, typically spend 3 years of study at their initial undergraduate university. So year 1, year 2, and year 3 are spent at the university. You're taking pre-medicine courses, you're taking biomedicine, whatever you need to take to get into medical school. And then you spend 4 years actually in medical school. That first year of medical school is technically your last year of undergrad, because it's technically the 4th year of your bachelor's while you're at medical school. And so you'll receive your bachelor's degree technically in your first year of medical school. And then after those 3 years, once you satisfactorily complete medical school, optometry school, dental school, pharmacy school, you'll get your doctorate. And master's to law programs will usually you will take your classes at both schools concurrently. So you will take some courses at the graduate level at the graduate institution, and either you will do that for 1 term, and then the second term you'll actually take the courses at the law school. Like I said earlier, they transfer over, and that's how that program is accelerated. PhD programs, which are not necessarily medical doctors, but doctorates in a field of study, anything from, you can have a PhD in art history, engineering, education. If you attend a larger university that actually has the doctorate program located in the university, you could probably stay at that university throughout that accelerated program. Some of the smaller institutions, you will probably have an agreement with a graduate or PhD granting institution that works closely with the smaller campus you might be attending. So students should not be concerned about these accelerated programs if they choose to attend a smaller institution. All right. How do you apply for dual degrees? There are a lot of universities in the United States, and the requirements vary across universities and programs. I do not have enough time in the world to go over every single dual degree program and the requirements, but here are some general facts and some tips, and I'll be happy to go over this in a little bit more detail if anyone has any questions. So applying to a bachelor's to master's degree program usually occur actually during the second or third year of university. First-year students or freshmen do not apply directly into these programs. You spend your first year or two completing your general education criteria, or your general education requirements, I apologize, before you can even declare a major. And that's done even for an accelerated program, because what you want to study when you're a freshman, when you're 17 or 18 years old, might change by the time you're 19 or 20, depending on the classes you take at school. So most universities will want you to complete a general education requirement, which is your first 2 years, and expect you to maintain a high grade point average or GPA to show that you're a committed and serious student. And that's typically the biggest requirement for dual degree programs for bachelor's to master's, is having something like a 3.5 out of 4.0 GPA, or a 3.0 GPA for the first 2 years of university, plus a minimum of a 3.5 in mathematics and sciences if you're going into a biomedical accelerated program, for example. Depending on the university and the department, there could be an actual formal application, meaning you would fill out another application almost like you're applying again to a university. You might have to have an interview with faculty members. They might need an official transcript, even though they can look it up on their computer system. It can be a very formal process. You might have to submit a personal statement why you are interested in this bachelor's to master's program, or what you choose to accomplish, letters of recommendation from faculty members, and even writing samples. And that is why these programs usually occur during the second or third year of university, because you need to be able to have relationships with faculty members to get a letter of recommendation. Not your first year of school, you might not have worked closely with faculty members. You might not have engaged in any research projects in your first year of university, but by the end of your second year, you've done some research. You have written a research paper. And the best practice for something like this is reaching out to your academic advisor during your first year of university, seeing what accelerated programs are available in your field of interest, because that'll give you a year or two to prepare to apply to this program if there is a formal application process. Other times at other universities, you go to the academic department that houses the accelerated program, and you say, hey, I want to do the bachelor's to master's in ABC, and they will make you fill out a form, and that's all you have to do, and that's another way. So there's no hard and fast rule when it comes to applying for dual degrees, but these are some of the basic requirements for bachelor's to master's. We have dual programs in medicine, so bachelor's to MD or DO, osteopathic medicine. These are highly sought after programs in the United States. They usually include a special application for freshman or first year admission, meaning you have to apply directly to this program. You are not filling out a general or common application to the university. You're applying specifically to this program. They often have different deadlines than regular admission deadlines at a lot of universities. Part of the application process, specifically for medical doctor, osteopathic medicine, or pharmacy or optometry, will include a pre-admission interview with faculty from that specific school, that medical school that you will be attending later on, and admissions faculty as well. How the program works, again, is it's 3 years at the undergraduate level, and then 4 years in medical school. You would have had to have a high GPA in high school to even be considered for programs like this, as well as maintaining a high GPA during your 3-year undergraduate, And then you also have to maintain a high GPA during medical school because, again, it's an accelerated program. Um, they want you to maintain a specific GPA because you're doing a lot of work in a short amount of time. Another thing about these programs is some of them require medical school entrance exams, even though you're admitted into this dual program and you do go to medical school. Sometimes you take these medical school entrance exams as a formality, but you might have to take them. So if you think about it, you are in your third year of undergrad. You're trying to finish your requirements at that time to get your undergraduate degree or to finish it enough to go to medical school, and you're studying for the MCATs, which are the medical school entrance exams here in the United States. That's a lot. That's why these programs are really competitive and require a lot of work. And however, whoops, I apologize. Let's go back. Most universities will not allow international students to apply for these programs. We're talking about dual degree programs, and what we need to discuss when we're discussing dual degree programs, specifically in programs like medicine and law, is international students will have difficulty at the end of medical school sitting for medical school board exams and finding work as physicians on the student visa that you entered the United States. So dual programs in medicine discourage international students from applying. And this is another thing that we should discuss is medical school in general in the United States is very competitive for United States citizens and permanent residents, but even more so for international students. There are some universities in the US that will only take between 1 and 5 international students a year for a regular medical school program, meaning the regular 4-year post-bachelor or post-master's regular medical school program. Because again, it goes back to international students not having difficulty sitting for medical school exams and finding work as a physician. So this is something that you need to think about if you're choosing to study medicine in the United States is you're doing all of this hard work, you're spending a lot of time, but will you be able to take the exams to become a practicing physician? This is an honest discussion that you'll need to have with advisors and with admissions officials and medical school officials, and it's a perfectly valid question to ask. Yes, medical schools who do allow international students will enroll 0 to 5 students in a given year. I believe Stanford Medical School, which is one of the best medical schools in the country, at any year will enroll between 0 and 5 international students. Let's go to, let's see, master's to JD, Juris Doctorate, or law, or a professional degree. So this is if you already have a bachelor's degree. Maybe you have a bachelor's degree from Canada and you're looking to do an accelerated master's to professional degree in the US, or you're planning to get your bachelor's in the United States and you're not really going to do an accelerated program at the undergraduate level, but you want to do one at the graduate level. These programs are intended for students with bachelor's degrees and want to get both a master's and a professional degree in a short amount of time. Students often have to apply to both programs or schools at the same time. Yes. So when you're applying to a master's to JD or law program, you'll have to apply to the graduate school, and a graduate school application is just like an undergraduate application for admission, but much more in depth. It definitely requires interviews and personal statements, and you'll have to submit graduation examination tests, either an LSAT for law school, a GRE, the graduate record examination for most other graduate programs. There's MCATs for medical school, that doesn't really count. There's the NCLEX for master's degrees in nursing. So if you're applying to 2 professional programs, you may have to take 2 separate entrance exams, and that's a lot to take. The classes, again, in these programs are usually taken concurrently and transferred into both degrees. So you may, during one term, take it at your graduate institution, and then the next term you would be in law school, and the classes you take at the graduate institution your first term transfer into the second term at law school, and then vice versa. It's retroactively transferred so that you get your master's and your JD through both institutions. Again, international students qualifying for these programs, if there's no licensure, it's hard to say, you would qualify for these programs. So if it's a master's to a PhD or a master's to a terminal degree, you should be fine. However, if you need to get the degree, if you need to sit for a licensing exam, because of the nature of your student visa at that time, you would not be able to sit for licensure because your student visa is a temporary visa, meaning once you're done with studying, you are expected to go home, back to your country. And licensure examinations require you to be a citizen or a permanent resident and not a temporary visa holder. So it can be a little tricky when it comes to this. So again, if you're looking to do these accelerated professional degree programs, please reach out to the advisors and either the graduate school or the law school and see what they recommend for international students. And finally, some examples of dual degrees at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, which is where I am now. We're a specialized institution. It's in our name, the College of Criminal Justice. We pretty much do all of those cool things that you see on television and movies. So we have an accelerated BA, MA, a Bachelor's of Arts, and a Bachelor's of Arts and a Master's of Arts in Criminal Justice. So it's 120 credits, which if we go back a few slides, most bachelor's degrees are about 120 to 138 credits, but 128 credits with a master's thesis and a master's degree in 4 years, which is fantastic. We have a Bachelor's of Arts and a Master's of Arts in Forensic Psychology, and that's about 134 credits in 5 years because there's a clinical rotation because it is a forensic psychology does involve some clinical work. Students interested in these, and then we have a Bachelor's in Public Administration, same thing, 134 credits in 5 years with a thesis. Students interested in these programs must first complete about 60 credits, roughly 2 years, and have all of their general education, the social science, the histories, the mathematics, the sciences, the art appreciation, English reading, literature, writing intensive, done in 2 years. They have to have a 3.5 GPA out of 4.0. There's paper application recommendations, writing samples, and the writing sample is to demonstrate ability and research skills because in specifically forensic psychology and public administration, there's a lot of, it's research oriented. And a 750 to 1,000 word personal statement. Then we also have a JD MA in forensic psychology and law. So in 42 credits, which is a little over a year, in forensic psychology, plus 86 credits in JD program in law. So it's 4 years. It goes out to be about 4 years, where if you did a full master's and then a full JD, it would be 5, so you're saving yourself a year. And that's with New York City School of Law. And then we have our JD and Masters of Public Administration, and courses for the Masters of Public Administration are taken concurrently with law classes, like I've previously mentioned, and full-time study results in both degrees in 4 years, again, saving yourself 1 full year of study. So a lot of these programs are great for U.S. citizens, permanent residents, and those who are able to study and sit for licensure or board exams in the United States to be a doctor or lawyer or a professional. They may not be the best route for students who do have to adhere to the student or F1 visa program. Now, Canadian students don't have to apply for a student visa, but you have to adhere to the rules and regulations of all F1 or student visa holders. So that can be a little tricky. And I'm going to take a sip of iced tea really quickly. And questions or concerns? I know it has been a lot of information. I threw some curveballs out there. So I will stay here in case anyone has any questions. Just go, and also if you look in the chat box, there are a lot of great tips that are located on the side as well.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you can hear me, but you can't see me. Well, that's fine. If you got my voice, then we'll go with that. So thank you so much, Colin. We really appreciate it. You know what? I think I'll just jump out and back in so I can make sure my video's up, and you can wait, see if you get any questions in the next 15 seconds.
No problem. Will do. And just for anyone again who's looking for these tips, earlier in the presentation we talked about an associate's degree. It's a great way to begin your education in the United States. Dual degrees can be completed again usually at the same university or another university nearby or with another university where there is an agreement. Unlike Europe, where some of you might be looking to study, the US does not have direct entry into master's or law programs, meaning in Europe, in some European countries, it's 7 years, and after 7 years, you have your law degree and you're good to go. You have to complete some kind of formal undergraduate education. Ask questions as a student who's applying, even from Canada, to the admissions offices. Please ask your admissions officers and international student advisor. Education USA is a great resource. Make sure that the program that you're interested in, you're eligible for. And don't forget, even if you might not qualify for an advanced program or a dual degree, you are still more than welcome to study in the US and attend a master's program and a doctorate level program. You're not barred from doing that. We encourage you to consider the United States not only for an undergraduate, but for that professional education. You're not barred from that at all. So keep that in mind. Don't be discouraged. And my contact information is right here. I'm at cwiggins@jjay.cuny.edu. And I thank you so much for the opportunity to let me speak to you guys today.
Thank you, Colin. Really appreciate it. And I'm glad you mentioned the bit about the direct entry law programs, because at Education USA we do get a lot of questions from students interested in these type of programs, and they don't exist in the US. And if you were really paying attention to Colin's presentation, and he told you about how the first year or two we expect students in most US institutions to be figuring out what they want to do and taking a really diverse range of programs. And so having a direct entry law program is really counterintuitive to the way that universities in the US exist and operate. So, so I don't think we'll see that anytime really soon, at least at most of the major institutions in the US. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and just, we'll wrap up. You guys are a bit quiet with your questions, which is okay. It might mean that Colin answered them all for you over the course of his very informative webinar.
I did talk a lot.
But like he said, you can reach out to either one of us with additional questions you have on this topic or any other pertinent topics, especially if you want to know more about Colin's programs, reach out to him, or if you want to know more about these kind of programs in general, I would probably be the best person to contact. And hey, look at that, we're on the contact page. You can contact me in a lot of different ways. My email address there is in the bottom right-hand corner, ottawa@educationusa.info. We've got my web address at educationusacanada.ca, and then a myriad of social media outlets. Like, follow me on Instagram, for example. Our next webinar is going to be about applying to LLM programs, which is basically a degree that you can get a specialized law degree after you already have a JD degree. And actually, there are some programs that are combined JD LLM programs too. So that's another kind of dual degree program that is out there that our next presenter, who will be from Pepperdine Law, will likely get into. Thank you all for joining us today, and come to the next webinar. Thank you again to Colin, and have a great day.